what would be the ultimate TFT team based off everyone's peak form, but you are limited to $15. So we're going to go ahead and show you the graphic. We're going to start things off here. So we're going to issue a challenge to people here on stream. Build your fantasy TFT team with $15 with everyone who is in peak form. Second major part of the show. We still have 2.5 more. So hope you guys enjoy that. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring up the conversation of our historical ranking. So previously, what we did in the past was we actually had a episode 50. You might have remembered this, where we put together a rankings of the best historical TFT players ever in North America. And we came up with stuff like this, where we kind of did like a tier 4. We had a high notes, right? We started at 50. We include some names. We talked about all their stats. And this was because at the time, you know, Bryce and I didn't know we were going to end the show. So we just said, like, let's do a historical 50 as a checkpoint of 50. And then maybe at episode 100, we can do something crazy. We didn't make it that far.
My bad.
That's okay. That's fine. But we decided that we want to do one historical ranking to kind of end the show. So this is like going to be our best 15 players if TFT were to end today. Which, if you're Bryce, that is true. And this would be how we would do the bows for, I guess, the all-time rankings. And I think the prompt was, if we were to do a Hall of Fame induction, what's the priority list from 1 to 15?
Yeah, as of right now, right? Random snapshot in time. And we'll talk about players that we think some of them are stock rising or falling. Like, I think that's relevant to the conversation.
Yep. And Robin graciously accepted to stay on the show while he's eating dinner. Take your time, Robin. Don't feel like you have to. We just appreciate you hanging out.
For sure. And for the record, Robin, I'm going to eat at some point too, because this show's going to go till fucking 8 o'clock, and I'm dad. I eat at like 5:30. I'm going to I'll run out of steam if I don't eat food.
I usually eat at like 4:35, and I sleep at 8 now. So
I can talk whenever.
Okay, let's start off with the snub list. These are people who didn't make it, right? So we start off at the very beginning. And these are people who didn't make our all-time top 15. Who do you want to talk about first, Bryce?
I'll just briefly close the loop on Ripple because I talked about him earlier. I forgot that we were going to do him in the snub list and that I was going to try to save that for later. So my bad.
That's okay.
But I think the world of Ripple's play. I'm so excited that he's going full time. One of my like TFT sad things is I feel like most of my favorite players, I got to watch them play at least something that might resemble their best TFT. Like they've had peak moments where they looked incredible, and I don't think we've seen Ripple's best moments. And I'm bummed that I won't get to.
Yeah.
But I know they're ahead of him, and I know it's going to be cool to watch.
Cool. I'll go next. I will talk about... Okay, I want to talk about Degree, then you talk about Pressman, and I'll talk about Bert. How about that?
Perfect.
Wait, I want to talk about Bert.
Okay, then Robin will talk about Bert.
Robin, you can talk about any of these guys you want.
Degree...
Okay.
I'll go first while Robin finishes chewing his food. Yeah. I think most people don't know how good Degree was in set 10. I think that most people will look at set 10 and think about Malala's set, but there's another timeline where if things fell a little bit differently, I think Degree might have been the best NA player at the World Championships. And like maybe like either in lockstep with Malala or maybe slightly ahead. He was very, very, very good. And he's a low profile guy, so most people don't know much about him. But he kind of has a peak that's around the equivalent of like how good was DQA at set 4 or how good was Goobums at set 6. Like I think that he was exceptional because every time he was on the Heartsteel line, it was kind of magical. Like, he was just doing some really, really good stuff. And yeah, he made some mistakes going into it. Like obviously no one's like perfect. It's a really hard set. Heartsteel is probably one of the hardest comps to play, especially in a pressure situation. But I think Degree did really, really well in set 10. Unfortunately, I just don't think he has like enough at things around it to kind of justify being on top 15. But he was definitely a person that like made a run for the top 15.
Yeah, and Dan said this at the time too. Dan felt really strongly about how good Degree was. I hadn't watched him play that much at the time, so that was cool.
Robin, you want to talk about Bert?
Oh, yeah. I think a lot of people here probably don't know who Bert is. But when did he quit, by the way? I don't remember.
Set 8.
Set 9?
Yeah, it's been a while.
He played all the way to the end of set 7.
He was like one of the best TFT players. A lot of people like respected him. A lot of people like would ask him questions. He's like one of the smartest people like IRL. And I had the pleasure. I don't know if you guys know this, but I went to Japan with Bert and Setsuko.
Oh, I did not know that. Wait, what? When was
this?
What set?
Oh wait, I remember this.
It's because Sarah Lynn, my girlfriend, is really good friends with Bert and Setsuko. They still talk nowadays. But
Oh.
I kind of just tagged along. But like it was like Bert, Setsuko, me, Sarah Lynn. There's one other person I kind of forgot, but I'm sorry. But I got to know Bert a little bit more, and he was like super smart. Like he would like he would like come up with all these riddles and stuff, and he would like be able to like answer them really fast. So he's like one of the smartest people I met. So, and I feel like the only reason he's on the snub list is because he quit in set 8 because he had to focus on IRL stuff.
That's correct.
Yeah, he's a genius.
Robin wasn't
And
helping prepare this, but he's correct.
Yeah, I think Bert still plays. He still plays right now. Casually,
This is a picture of him playing in Vegas, by the way. He competed at the set 10 lane.
Oh,
For fun.
His all-time TFT AVP is like a 3.8 or something. Like all time.
He has one of the best career AVPs that rivals the very best players on this list. So it's almost like his streak is so impressive. The reason why is because like a lot of us are when you actually put the top 15 down, a lot of it that sorts itself at the very end of this list is who had like the best peak within their arc. And Bert had an amazing peak. He just didn't make the world championship, and he didn't win regionals.
And it was also really early, and that hurts.
It was early, so it penalizes him.
No one who watched Bert play thinks he wouldn't be able to hack it right now. Like Bert is off the charts intellect and TFT acumen, so he would be a beast now. But it's hard to evaluate based on that. If his power ranking were top 15, if it's not a Hall of Fame ballot, if it was just who we think were the 15 best players, Bert probably makes the list. And when I say probably, I mean he definitely makes the list.
Yeah, I wish we could put up the numbers, but we don't have it right now. But just trust us on this one. And Gangly's the source on this. So unanimous #1 on all ballots, by the way, in set 7, which was something that was unprecedented back then. We had so many people disagreed on #1, but Bert at set 7 was unanimous. Press events, I think and this is really like unfortunate to say, but just he doesn't have the results to be on the top 15. I think he has the raw skill, and I think a lot of people want to put him on the top 15. When we like look at the other people who did make it, we're like, it doesn't feel right that he's there and other people are not. Simply because he doesn't have an accolade like a tournament win, and he doesn't have like a world championship appearance, and all those different things kind of add up against him, unfortunately. But if it was a top 20 list, I think he makes it.
For sure. He does for sure. I think if it's top 20, these 4 be our next 4 in, and I think this is a punish. He's getting punished by the snapshot in time. Like we're only doing this right now because the show is ending. But like if we were doing this in 2 sets, I would bet so much money that he's in the top 15.
Okay. All right. Without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce tier 4 of the top 15. We're not doing 50. Sorry to disappoint you guys. Maybe they're like, you're doing another 50? No, 15.
Isn't it tier 5, Dan?
What's up? Oh, this is tier 5. You're right.
Yeah, there's 5 tiers. Because we
tried
5. To tier it out.
I call this. Oh, go ahead.
No, call them. Please dub it first.
I call this the Dragon Flash because these are the rulers of set 7. It was Soju and Rainplosion because of how good they were specifically in set 7, but for different reasons. The primary is that Rainplosion was the best overall performing player in set 7. And kind of comparing it to some of the people that didn't make the list versus did, it felt like her peak was very high for how good she was for her set 7 specifically. The problem with Rain is that her overall stats after that have been kind of on a big downturn. And if you compare that, at least she competed compared to some other people like Degree, who was kind of relatively new, right? He's only been playing a couple sets. I think she narrowly made it. And then Soju's the inverse of that. Soju's just been playing for a really long time. And also has pretty, the fact that he did well in set 7, but also has some pretty good results outside of it. Like people don't remember maybe, but he was actually really close to making worlds again in set 9 and regionals. So I think Soju definitely belongs somewhere around here, and I think 14 makes sense here.
Yeah, he's has longevity and competitive relevance and tons of competitive success, right? And I think that his body of work is like more deserving of being slightly ahead, even though Rain, if you just put it toe to toe in set 7, Rain was clearly the stronger performer.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why Rain makes the list and none of the 4 people on the left make the list is because her peak was just quite a bit higher from a results perspective, and that matters for a Hall of Fame ballot.
It does.
Like she got number 1. She was number 1 overall on our set 7 ballot, right? For DTIYDK, that has to be relevant to like making the top 15 here.
And it's not just opinion; it's also stats driven, right? She averaged like a 3.7 that set. Her win rate was obscene. She did really well in all tournaments, and she's had deep runs in other sets as well. So I think this is justified.
It says 3rd at regionals, but it's worth noting that was the AVP spot, right? She had the lowest AVP.
Yes, the lowest AVP. Yeah.
Right. So
Because
she was good.
Kyvik's figured out Guardians before everyone else. So.
Yep.
All right. Robin, you want any comments on Rain or Soju at all?
No, I'm just saying it's kind of cool that there's like these like peak like forms of people. Like if you were to make if maybe they're all playable characters in a game, like you'll be able to unlock.
Oh, Bryce, don't
Oh
say it.
my God,
Bryce,
Robin,
Don't say it. Don't say
I'm
it.
not gonna say it, but Robin, just wait, buddy. Just wait.
Man, that is a really good point, Robin.
That is such a good tee
That
up.
is a
Robin.
really good
So
point.
Good.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, like EWC Soju, set 7 Rain.
Listen, you'll
set
see.
6 Goop,
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really
Sounds
good
fun.
point. Man, this guy didn't even
So-
read the run of shows. That's pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah, I remember we were.
Tier
I didn't even
4,
know there
I'm
was a run of
calling
shows.
the unknown ceiling. We just don't know how good these people can truly be, but we did see flashes or slices of it, right? Where we saw like whether it's DQA, who has made it to multiple world championships, is already putting him in the elite group, but then like has very vocally said that TFT is like a part-time hobby for him. Goobums, who had a pretty big spike right in set 6, and then people like Pocky, who takes he only plays one every 3 sets, and then Spencer himself, who we just finished talking about. Who do you want to talk about here, Bryce?
All of them.
Okay.
I want to talk about all of them. I think I want to talk about everyone probably for the rest of it, but definitely like these 4. I think this is one of the most interesting tiers. I know it's weird because it's tier 4, but I think that this is like one of the most interesting tiers. Gangly's saying the same thing in chat because it's a bunch of people. There's a negative version, which is someone said flashes in the pan. That's the negative version, and then the positive version is it takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to get to like truly that if you're one of these people with high TFT capability, it's a lot to push to your max. And some of these guys had moments where they did it. I think DQA and Goobum's grouping is really good because I think what they showed as their top end is higher than what we have seen from Spencer or Pocky thus far. But Spencer and Pocky, I'm not sure have ever invested at the level that DQA did for set 4 or Goobums did for set 6, just like you called out. Like I think these are 2 of the all-time peaks that we've seen in NA TFT. And I think a lot of people didn't watch the games enough to really realize that. This is back when we were like really I was watching, right? Because there weren't that many people, so you could watch all this shit. And yeah, I mean, Goobum set 6 was like nutty, and DQA set 4. He was actually not that good at regionals, but by Worlds he was insane. He tie breaks out, I think, of making the final day of Worlds that set, and he would have had a good damn shot of winning Worlds if he had gone on the other side of that, or maybe it was 1 point.
Robin, did you want to say something?
Please.
I would say that DQA is also something about these youngins, man. DQA and Spencer, just raw talent. They don't even invest that much time in it. They just got hands, as Milk would say.
Oh no, it's spreading. Okay.
I am very curious why DQA didn't play this set because I know he just graduated and moved back home.
Yeah.
I expected him to have nothing to do at home, so I don't even know what he's doing, but he hasn't played this set, so
Should
I don't know
message
what
him
he's
and find out.
Yeah, I know he's
Weren't
moving
you guys
to like
really
New York
close
soon.
when you were in LA and he was going to school at UCLA? You guys were hanging out all the time.
Yes, we were close, but then he stopped playing the set, so we didn't. And then we didn't type in a study group at all. So
Got it.
and he went. Oh, he also moved out of like he moved back to Alabama.
Yeah.
So that's when we like became like not that close anymore. I know he's moving to like New York soon, but I hope to see him back because he's like really good. I need a study group, man. He's my study partner.
There's actually like a lot of really commonalities between a lot of these people that we talked about with potential. Is that they're incredibly intelligent, like academically inclined, very quick learners, extremely quick problem solvers. DQA is one of them too, by the way. He like while he was doing all this, he was like valedictorian of his school. Pretty sure he graduated magna cum laude or whatever it is. Sorry,
Either magna cum laude or summa cum laude.
Yes, sorry, thank you. I'm mixing the two.
You're
From
good.
UCLA, while still like playing and being a threat in TFT tournaments as well. Like he's incredibly talented, and so that's what when we talk about these high horsepower, it's just that we just know what they can do because they just have a lot of the foundation even around TFT to be quite capable.
Yeah.
All right, now
These
you
guys
want to
are
talk about Pokegum, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, Pocky and Spencer for sure. I think Pocky and Spencer are also a really interesting pairing. There's like a lot of mirroring that wound up happening when we did the list because Pocky and Spencer haven't had the same ceiling as DQA and Goobums that they've put on paper, but Goobums and DQA flamed out a lot more. They've showed up and not been good a lot more. Pocky and Spencer are just like always good. They can just always show up and be good at TFT. I get the impression that Pocky allocates slightly more of his time, energy, and attention to TFT on average than Spencer, but I think they're relatively comparable, actually. Pocky has indicated that he might be taking TFT a little bit more seriously and like interested in finding out what his peak is. That's another player that'd be fascinating. That's part of what makes this top 15 so fun is we can say we almost sound like a broken record, but a lot of this is the sorting when you get to this level is actually the people who have this acumen but are also investing close to 100% themselves, and then the people who have proven they have this acumen but are not investing 100% themselves or investing it very sporadically.
Yes. Pocky, I'm so glad he got his world shot. He's also an odd set threat. We talked about the even sets with Ripple. Pocky, set 5, set 7, set 11. We're coming up on set 13. I want to see Pocky back. I don't know if he's going to compete, but I would love to see him back. Okay, so that is our top 15 to 10. We're now going to move into tier 3. I call this the Twin Peaks. Also because it's very thematic with both of these guys for multiple reasons. Sox had 2 peaks. The first is that he was kind of like the original NA god, right? He made it to set 3 and set 4 worlds. He was sort of like the guy that pushed flex play out. And then he just disappeared due to parenthood and other things. And he did compete, every now and then. Like he won a cup in set 7, which was really impressive. And then somehow the stars aligned to kind of create, like, in my opinion, almost like if TFT was a major player in esports around the same tier of League of Legends, I think documentaries would be made about like how Sox did set 11. I think that is incredibly impressive what he's able to pull off. It's a human interest piece story that I feel like is going to get lost in the sands of time because we just don't have that hubris about like making, glorified documentaries outside of Soju's rise. But I think Sox set 11 is just an incredible story in TFT that needs to be told one day.
I couldn't agree more. While it was happening, the only analog that I had in my life for point of comparison, because we're still relatively young, we haven't like followed the full arc careers and have these moments that often, was Tiger when he won his last Masters, and he was the GOAT. Sox, didn't have the longevity of Tiger, but Sox was the GOAT, the original innate GOAT. Like he was incredible at TFT. And if you watched him, then and a lot of people haven't, and that's okay. Not watched him when he was for real. So many of the like young bloods, if you will, to be like really old, like have no idea why we talk about Sox so much because they just never saw when he was really, really good. But that's why the name of the show is Don't Talk If You Don't Know. And it was really special to feel like we knew he was running it back for one last time while he was doing it. I don't think we'll ever see it again. I think the stars really had to line, like you said. I really hope that I am wrong because it's fun to watch this man when he can actually play the game.
Yeah. I would love to see it, but gangs in chat, please make the documentary on set 11 Sox. It'd be great. In the meantime, we also have Kurum. This is a little bit of a missed typo. He did not make the set 11 run. He made set 9 that he was making his run. So I think we have a couple of the results mixed up here for Kurum. But Kurum also had 2 peaks, right, where he was doing set 4 and set 9. And set 9, he was actually really close to making final lobby. I don't think set 9 was his at all. It was clearly title, and everyone else was playing for second. But I think Kurum is a player who shows kind of like the determination aspect of TFT. And I say this lovingly. I don't think Kurum's like the most like naturally gifted player when you kind of compare him to like a bunch of other people. I don't think he has like an amazing intuition that compares to someone like Dish Soap. I don't think he has like the technical sense of some of these other players that also are on the list. But he's a guy that works his ass off. He's a guy that loves the game. He's a guy that dedicates himself. He's almost like driven purely by passion for competition. And I think he's kind of like the inspirational story of like what you can do to push yourself, even if like on paper, there's nothing that you're like extraordinarily gifted at. And I think that his relentlessness and his desire to continue to compete, I would love to see him make it back one more time. I do think that he's at risk for the game. We talk about the game passing him by. I think he's in that group of people like at risk where like if he doesn't evolve as a player, if he doesn't keep up with everyone, we could be also seeing, like we saw multiple sets of him not making regionals. It could be a while longer for that to continue to happen because I do think there are major flaws in his gameplay that he's aware of as well, that he wants to continue to work on. And I would love to see Kurum continue to just be one of those old guards that just stay with us from the beginning to the very end of TFT.
Yeah. Robin, do you have thoughts on Kurum or do you want me to go next?
Yeah. For Sox, I think back in set 3, set 4, he was rank 1 and 2. Mismatch Sox 2, and that was like unheard of back then. So yeah, he's the OG GOAT. I'm not sure, but I feel like set 12 is the first set he like didn't play at all. Did he play at all? I don't know if he played at all.
He basically didn't play.
Yeah, so I that's really sad to see. I hope he comes back for set 13. I know he's literally been playing casually since like set 5, 6, or 7. Like even set 11, like I feel like he wasn't even that invested. He was like kind of like, but he still like popped off. And then Kurum, yeah, as you see, I think Kurum is like with me, we're like one of the old people, but like people are kind of passing us up and stuff. I don't think he has a study group either, but I hope he didn't lose his motivation, and he's one of the most passionate players in the game. And hopefully maybe I should start a study group with him.
He hasn't
maybe
lost
we
his
should.
passion. He sent me, and I hope he's okay with me. I hope this is not too revealing, but he sent me like a really, really long, kind of like a letter almost, after set 12, Tacticians Cup number 3, which was like his last shot to make regionals. And he kind of just like really poured his soul and opened up about like his journey in TFT. And we exchanged like pretty long messages. It's very rare in TFT to type more than 5 words without hitting the return key. But he sent it was like full on long paragraphs, multiple paragraphs in one message, and it was back to back to back to back, and we were kind of sending back and forth. He is just as motivated as he is ever before. I think it just hurts more and more to miss these days. And so I hope, and I think that kind of junction that he's at usually makes or breaks people. Some people get broken by it because they feel like they can't ever get back to it. And it becomes this like loathing, like I can't do it anymore. Can I ever do it again? But I would say that if he can bounce back and actually evolve his game in a meaningful way, I think that it'll be one of the biggest like mental obstacles he'll ever overcome in his life. And I'm not saying that as an exaggeration. He's had a huge impasse mentally with the game, and I hope that he can get past it.
Yeah, big +1 for me. Kurum will always be one of my number one, like top rooting interests in TFT because he's just such a good dude and he has so much passion for the game. I mean, he just has, it's unbelievable how much passion he has. He's like, of all the people, when you get in person with these group, like a lot of people we talk about TFT a lot when we're in person, but there's other stuff. Kurum is just TFT, man. There's just so much about TFT that makes him excited, and it's just electric. It really is. But at the end of the day, I think Robin, your comparison to yourself is really apt, but we spoiler, we put you a tier higher, right? You're not in this tier. And I think justifiably so. I think that your game has evolved more. I think you've done a better job at identifying your weaknesses and shoring them up than Kurum has. And so Kurum is currently stock trending down, and I would love to see it rebound. I would love to.
Okay.
Because yeah, he does. It's like Dan said, he's basically at an impasse. He needs to find a way over this hurdle, and then he can improve again.
I think he'll do it. At least I believe that he'll do it. Tier 2. We call this the largest legends. And it's actually, oh my god, we spelled Wajan's name wrong. My bad. It's because they aren't at specifically a tier 1 when you compare it, but they are incredibly accomplished TFT players, and it almost feels like unjustified to put them in this tier. So it feels like for some people, they are going to be their goats. But for others, it's going to be like, well, you can't hold the candle to some of the other people that aren't here. So let's break it down. First of all, Robin's here at 6. Robin, how do you feel about that?
Dude, why do I have so many games played? 368? Is that
because
real?
You're really old, bro. What do you mean?
No, but Soji only has Soji only has 200 something.
But
though.
You're really old and you qualify for everything. Soji doesn't qualify for everything.
Soji
You always make the final day. Soji doesn't always make the final day.
That's
Soji doesn't
100 games
regionals, man.
That's so funny. I have 100 games on Soji, and we started like around the same time.
It actually says a lot about the results.
I feel great. I think I was in a similar spot as Kurum. I feel like people were passing me up, psychologically. Am I washed? Am I able to keep up with these youngins? And I think if I without this set 12, I would probably be like tier 3 with Kurum. Yeah. But I managed to climb out of that hole and still show everyone that I can still keep up. And I hope to plan to do that in set 13 as well.
Okay, so I think Robin, I was thinking about this a lot in the leap. I really thought about this list. I really wanted to get this one as close to right as we could. Yep. And I feel like Robin actually weirdly is like the most underrated player on the server, because I think Robin is like the most underrated player on the server, because when you really break it down, the way balance thrashing happens in TFT naturally, it seems, is that it just constantly rubber banding, which means that you have to be able to play a lot of different ways of playing the game. You have to be able to play around all different types of reroll. You have to be able to play tempo. You have to be able to roll in the mid game occasionally. You have to be able to play like the level 7 metas, the level 8 metas, play around 4 costs and 5 costs if you really want to be this consistently good. If you're stylistically narrow, you can. And so Robin, to be as set and meta-proof as Robin has been, like, oftentimes when I talk about Robin, I say the like negative side of the coin. It's like his play is, the top end is not the same as Setsuko's. That is a fact, but that doesn't change how insanely impressive it has been for Robin to always show up for this many sets in a row, right? Like, it is, I love it. And so it's just, I feel like that test is just incredible, right? Like, it's a level of mental, it's a mental strength, it's ability to like always play your best on the day when you need to, and have like just such rock solid fundamentals that you're just kind of set and meta proof, and you can just roll along and just be better than people, which is like, you might not be able to beat Setsuko on his best day and your best day, if all things being equal, but like on average, you beat a lot of people at TFT with the level of consistency that like even Setsuko hasn't during this period of time, which is pretty fucking insane. So kudos, Robin. It's been a lot of fun to watch you play TFT, man.
Thank you.
We need a W Glaze in chat. And
W Glaze.
I'll drop one. I know you're uncomfortable, Robin, but I'll drop one as well. Robin is my #1 stream I watch.
Nice.
In TFT. And I think that Robin is because he's sort of my rock in TFT. He kind of, whenever I feel lost in the game, I watch Robin stream like almost religiously, because I feel like Robin always goes back down to the basics. He always keeps great vibes on the stream. Yeah, he gets tilted, but like I think you always handle it in stride, and you always and there's one thing that I always feel like is you'll always bounce back. And I think this set is a great testament to that. That no matter what, man, you'll always bounce back. And I hope that you're there at the end as well. Like I talked about Kurum, but for many people, it's Kurum that kind of embodies that. But I love watching you compete, Robin. I love that you always bear your emotion on your soul. I love that you have fun with it. And so if you quit TFT, a part of the scene dies for me personally. I hope you continue. I know we make jokes about you being old. From there, you're really your longevity, so on and so forth. But that's a huge part of the reason why I enjoy following the scene. And thanks for making your gameplay so relatable, man, because sometimes I am lost and I need some LP, and I watch the way you play the game. I'm like, it's just so simple, man. Robin just breaks it down 1, 2, 3, gain LP. I love it.
I guess I think a big thing is that like I'm not that like academically bright IRL as some of these other players. So I kind of have to like, break it down to the basics, and like, you guys can see me. I feel like a lot of reason why I'm underrated is because I make these very beginner mistakes, like very like just like old man mistakes, and like mistakes that like it's what like GM players or master players make. But that's part of my weakness. But yeah, I just I forgot what I was gonna say. But,
that's okay. You don't have to say anything else.
It's Robin. I randomly said the word flowchart TFT about your play. Like I think it was one of these episodes. I think we were talking about it live and it just kind of came out, and it just stuck for me. I think it's like the perfect description of what you've done. You've taken like an incredibly complicated game that even at its simplest form is incredibly complicated. So a huge part of your style is that you narrow down and you just play really, really well within the confines you set for yourself, and you do a phenomenal job of setting the parameters. Like most people don't do that as consistently well as you do, and you can come up with a game plan every time that's like executable and will work, and that's really fucking hard.
Yes.
Yeah, flowchart TFT. I try to make a flowchart at the beginning of every a new patch. Now people in chat are asking like, dude, what's the flowchart for this patch? What's the flowchart for this patch? Because they just want to follow like like if you get this, you do this. If you get this, you do this. Because they can't play like Socks. They can't play like Birdosaurus or whatever. But
and if you've never watched Robin stream before, like he also VOD reviews after basically every single game. He'll like go back and talk about like what went well or what his mistakes were. Like if you want to get better at TFT, there's a lot of stuff you can do, but it's not actually that rocket science. Like if you watch every game you play for 3 minutes afterwards and just think about the big decisions and whether it was right or wrong, and you maintain a positive outlook and say, you know what, sometimes you get screwed, but like I can always do better. You will get better at this game. I fucking promise you. And you can watch Robin do it every day on stream.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Okay, so now I think also check out Robin's website, TFT handbook stuff, because maybe you can't. Robin's not online all the time, but he'll post a lot of his own guides and flowchart and thoughts on that on the meta. But Bryce, we got to talk about some of the other people here as well. Yeah. And I think a lot of people's eyes dart towards number 7, Malala being low. I mean, he's kind of fallen since our top 50. And I think people really feel like this might be too low for him, like almost disrespectful. What do you think?
Oh, I don't think it's disrespectful. He just doesn't have the same body of work as the people above him, right? His top end is the best set we've ever seen, and probably the best set we ever will see. I mean, like everyone else is like, look at all the different tournaments for all the different sets, and Malal is just like literally all set 10, and then the one set 11 tournament, right? He was just the goat of set 10 at a level that was just unbelievable to see. But his journey was kind of long, actually. Like, it didn't just start in set 10. Like, he played for a little while before. He had some frustrating start-stop moments. Like, as he was making the leap, he was also really struggling mentally, especially on final days. He was a player that had a meaningful amount of kind of tournament flame-out moments. And he talked about that openly the first time we had him on the podcast. Like, we told that story, and he talked about his struggles with that. So to see him like overcome it by also having he's similar Robin in terms of like attitude and like really just approaching it positively, and I think that really helps his improvement process. And he's completely unafraid to develop his own opinion of the meta. That's responsible for some of his flame outs as well. But think about like his Vegas win being on that Annie learning the spell line, right? That like no one would have played that there. No one thought that he had a chance of going first. The entire broadcast, literally the entire thing, is people saying over and over again how this line doesn't go first until he goes first at the end. It's wild. So I appreciate like he was also really he also played. No, it's fine. Oh, I forgot. Sorry, I didn't mean it like that.
No, it's all good. I just did.
But he was also like really good at Kale when like Kale, the 2-cost Kale, when other people weren't as good at it in that meta, and that gave him edge on that patch. Like he just was very, very, very good at the sets. But it was really just that set. And I think if you compare his body of work on any of the other sets to any of these people, it's like pretty clear why he belongs below them.
Put another way, there's a lot of people who've had like one set wonders, and Malala is like multiple tiers ahead of those people. The rest of the people have had many peaks over the course of years, and that just goes to show you how much that peak should be valued, because it was incredible to watch that set 10.
And I would say I value the tier jumps very, very highly in this discussion, right? That's what we're really saying. Like
8 to
these
7 is
people,
a big jump for us.
like these are really close within each other, right? Is just part of the reality of this dynamic. But the tier 3 to tier 2 gap is meaningful, I think, for Maul.
Okay. All right, he's no longer here to talk about himself but you want to talk about Milk at all? Robin, Bryce?
I gave a bunch of thoughts earlier. I feel like I covered how I feel about Milk.
Okay. Milk. Everyone knows, like, Milk is a beast. He has a signature move, by the way.
Yes.
You guys know his signature move?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if we're talking about the same thing, but
go
You
ahead.
can both now. Robin, you go first, and then Dick.
okay. Well, I think his signature move is when after every turn, he moves his units to the middle, and then he goes left or right after. No one else does that. I think it's a really good move, and because like it's like because like you can kind of catch on people's patterns if they go left or left right or left right left. But if you just go middle, I think it's like literally like 50-50. You don't even know where he's gonna go. And Milk does this after every round. He just moves his units back in the middle and he swaps accordingly. And I think it's like, it's super sweaty, but like, I don't know why he's the only one that does it. I feel like everyone should be doing it.
It's even better than you think, because it's not just that he's masking his positioning. It's also that a lot of people aren't appropriately scouting at the start of the very beginning of fights to see how everyone positioned their key units. So people miss that information. So the first thing he does is he goes back to his board and he moves them to the center so that when people scout, they don't see what he's defaulting to.
Yes.
If he's doing anything interesting with the unit, he doesn't want them to know that. It's really good.
I thought you were going to say something else was a signature move. I thought you were going to say that his signature move was to say that he's terrible at the game. And
that's
a signature phrase.
Oh,
yes.
got it. I thought his signature move was be like, oh, I'm awful. Don't pick me. I'm going to do terrible. And then he wins like regionals.
That's when he's the best.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. We went at length to talk about Milk. We can talk about Weijin here. Sorry for, again, spelling your name wrong, Weijin. I think the biggest thing is, what are we doing? Not putting this guy in tier 1, Bryce.
We thought about this a lot. This was like a really close debate. And everyone knows who the top 3 is, obviously. I don't think it's spoiling anything. I felt like, I felt like we always just do the default of the tier 1. And I'm glad that we do it that way, because I think that they are really close. But I do think that the other 3 players above him have an argument as to why they're clearly above him. And even though I think Weijin Iverson is a freaking incredible player of the game, and like I think he's the closest we have to what would be game theory optimal version of TFT, like the closest we have to the playing of TFT as a robot, right? Where you just try to make the highest AVP decision from every spot and learn everything well enough to be able to like know what that is and then do it and do it well. He's equally comfortable in all play styles, which is not true of everyone. He's really Robin. Actually, when you think about it, he's similar to you, but he's playing the game wider, right? In terms of like what his strengths are. And I think he's also a little bit less mistake prone. Like you said, you do some of that boneheaded stuff, and he doesn't really do that stuff very often. And so I think that's responsible for the gap. So yeah, I mean, I think Weijin's an incredible player and certainly has an argument for this. But I think that I think it's fair to leave him below the top 3.
I mean, it's fair to leave him below the top 3, but how come we don't batch him with the top 3, Bryce? Like, because he could be in part, like he could be 4th.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people might have him in 4th, but like, why isn't he not tier 1?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of reasons why. Like, I think if you look in the data, and especially if you do the data, like dropping the top set argument thing, right? Or if you just look at like the last same peak, I think that the other 3 have a data edge over him. I think that the 2 of the 3 of them have a ladder edge over him. And I think that the replay to the replay to Weijin Conversation replay as a world championship over him and is done like very similar and kind of consistent. Like what's been incredible about Weijin's run is how consistent he's been, but replay's been that consistent as well. Like replays like basically makes every regional's final day, it feels like, or is right there. Like it's insane. So I feel like Weijin is just an incredible player of the game, but if you stack him up against any of those resumes, I think the other resume is markedly better. So that's why I think that there has to be a gap there. Isn't that kind of the whole point of the gapping system?
Yep. Okay. I'm a huge Weijin fan. I think that this guy is like the guy who never dies. Like sometimes I just look at like a tournament spot and I'm like, well, this was probably gonna get eliminated here. Okay, maybe Satsuko's out. But this guy does not die. I don't understand. If this guy even has a 1% chance to make the final lobby, he makes it feel like 60% or higher. I don't get it. Like no matter what happens, man, this guy has multiple lives in every single tournament environment. He will not go down.
Wait. Weijin is so scary. Like, you know how like Bobster went dead last and at regionals, he just to make the final lobby. The first day Weijin like barely made it or something, and then he just said like, "Oh yeah, day 2 I'm dropping a 40 bomb." I don't think anyone like didn't believe him. I'm pretty sure everyone was like, "Yeah." I'm pretty sure everyone's like, "Okay, yeah."
Do that shit?
He almost did.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like everyone's just like, "Okay, well, yeah, he's doing it." So
why does he have to? Does he have to go 8-8 to start so many fucking tournaments? Why can't he just go like 4-5 to start a tournament? Then it wouldn't be the freest thing ever.
Man. That's what I'm saying.
No, Weijin,
and that is
he plays.
You know, the more that I look at this, the more I feel like Weijin should be solo tier 2, and we should just add a tier.
So that's another conversation we could have and push everyone down.
I think that's what it should be. I think it should be the top 3 is tier 1.
1.5.
Weijin is solo tier 2. I think you move the other 3 of them down to them down to tier 3 and move everyone else down a tier. That's what I think it actually is.
Yeah. Game 6 Iverson. Game 6 Weijin Iverson, man. It's one of the biggest fears. Don't put me in the lobby with him.
Yeah, fuck.
Okay. At number 3, we're at the top 3. This is all tier 1. We consider these. So if they're the largest legends, we graduate to the gods of North American TFT. At number 3 is Replay. And we can spend a lot of time talking about Replay. In fact, he's actually been one of the most interesting figures of the podcast over the past couple of years.
For sure.
Kind of going through a big like roller coaster of this, like anywhere from like how is he good, right? Which is actually like a wild question in hindsight, to how good is he, to how come other people don't agree about it, to now kind of circling back to like, well, now he's kind of one of the first arguments back in set 9 was it that we were talking about, or like set 10 was like, we just need to see more out of you over time. And now it's been a long time. It's been 5 sets of him doing the same thing over and over. And the conversation is quite frankly ended on that. Like Replay is very much in this tier 1. For some people, he might be top 2. But I think, for most people who have been around I think the longevity is unfortunately not in his favor, because the other 2 candidates, Jessup and Setsuko, have just done it for longer. But it would not surprise me if Replay breaks his way into the top 2 over time, especially if Setsuko continues to get banned. But I do think that Replay has very much proven it. And and for me, I can't think of any other higher compliment for him, because I think Replay just wants to prove it to everybody. And he wants everyone to admit that he is like tier 1, one of the best to ever do it in NA. And then this is me saying it on the record. Just like I think on his best days, there's just almost no one that can compete with him. And when he's on fire and playing lights out TFT.
Yeah, I think it actually mattered the most to him of anyone who ever part of the podcast. Like I think some people had some great moments. For some people it was actually the first time they ever got ranked was like their favorite moment. For some people it was like getting rank 1 or like having their highest peak moment. But I think it really mattered to him, feeling like he was properly evaluated, fairly evaluated by his peers. And he felt like he wasn't for a really long time. So it's been cool to see him be able to just stick with it, put his head down and try to ignore that noise and continue to do what he does, which is play really good TFT. He's weird. He's kind of like Jimmy Butler in the playoffs, where like if you look at him in other contexts, it's not that impressive. But then when you look at him just in that context, it's like, damn,
he's Michael Jordan's
right?
son.
Yeah, he's like, wow, this guy is real good at basketball. Yeah. It's like that. He's like real good at TFT when he locks in. When replay is like actually focused on TFT, he's just really, really good. He does. The knock on him is that the moment that Milk was walking around earlier, which I'm kind of glad he did, but like with replay, you could review him, like Dish Soap and Milk could review him and see some bad moments and be like, whoa, this guy sucks, like Robin was saying, right? And I had those moments actually when I was first trying to evaluate his play, and it was jarring on some level because the deltas between this man's highs and lows is just way more than you're used to seeing from people that you put in tier 1. Like the level of consistency to Setsuko and Dish Soap's performance basically since set 8, right? Set 8 on. It's just really, 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 really high. And replay is not like that, but his top end is as good or better. And he also seems to be meta proof because he hasn't been doing it as long as Robin, but my God, does he just consistently show up? It's like you said earlier, he's like a cheat code in fantasy. He's just always putting up points. Even if he doesn't win the tournament, he's just advancing days and putting up points. Really, really good.
I also think that he is out of these 3 players, I think he's just a lot better at reroll than they are when he has the right read. Sometimes I think when he has the wrong read on certain things in general, it might look extremely questionable in some situations, but I really like how he pushes his knowledge edge in some ways, because I think that a lot of people don't recognize that. So, and again, the people are going to look at it's easy for some of the top players who might be even watching right now and rolling their eyes, because they're like, I can look at times where I think that's not true. I think you guys aren't paying attention when it is true. I think it's really easy to gravitate and try to discredit him, maybe because of other reasons, but I think that it's time to give him his due flowers that we've been trying to actually do for the past few episodes, because we kind of recognize the show is wrapping up. But he is phenomenal at what he is good at, and I hope that he raises that baseline so that it's a little bit less of a controversial thing to say. But I think that's also part of the fun. I'm actually starting to enjoy the arc of replay, because it almost feels like the doubters always get proven wrong every single time, and when it kind of matters. And I think that's almost kind of fun, because you just, there's a part of you that's like, is he gonna actually like just be the 1000 LP challenger player that kind of just like messes around on stream, or is he gonna actually go into the world champ god mode? And it makes it really fun for the tournaments personally.
Super fun.
Yeah.
I got to spend a month with replay at EWC, and at first I thought like when he won Worlds in set 8, you probably think like, oh, it's like probably a fluke, he high rolled or something maybe. But then after spending time with him, I realized how good he was. He views the game like pretty differently than a lot of other people. He convinced me that like making 10 on 2-1 is bad, and like a lot of people watch Soju default like gold opener default make 10 on 2-1, But I literally, after talking with replay, I don't make 10 on 2-1 like rarely anymore.
You're giving up way too much stage 2 potential strength by doing it.
Yes. Also, he also made me realize that mixed tricking is not even that bad. And then, which I think you mentioned like New Bowel or something. And then,
bro, Dishel's been saying that for multiple sets, man. You're not paying attention.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
you clearly don't watch our podcasts. He said it like 5 times.
No. I mean, replay told me that before, so I heard it. But yeah, replay just taught me a lot of things. I think I evolved because of replay at EWC. Like VOD reviewing with him, and then he showed me the lenses of the newcomers, the how to evolve your game. Like
Robin's like a caveman coming at it. Is like
guys. It's like Jace from Arcade. Here? Okay, you know what? Actually, no spoilers. No spoilers.
No spoilers.
I was like, replay showed me the world of the new era players.
I see.
And then I learned. I learned a lot, and it wasn't a fluke that he won. And I think he's gonna be. He said like throughout his entire life, people have been underestimating him, so he's used to it. But he's always proven them wrong. So
All right. At number 2, and it's gonna reveal number 1. We're going to probably just talk about it at length, and I mean, we'll just go in order. Usually we do like a 2-1 reveal, but let's just go at 2 here because I think they deserve their individual time here. At number 2 is Setsuko. Setsuko with just incredible stats across the board. The number one thing that always you can point to when it comes to Setsuko is that his stats are just bananas. And then there's also the eye test. He has the stats, but if you ever watched Setsuko, the thing about Setsuko is that no one can play like him. And when you try to replicate it, you just find yourself unable to do so. I think he's like the biggest example of how there is like a natural talent gap in TFT. I think that there's like an ability that no matter how much you try to achieve what he can or what he does, you can't do it. And that's it's a really special thing about him. And then you kind of mix in a little bit of his personality dynamics and the fact that he also sometimes can just randomly go 1-1-1-1 8-8-8 and then never go bot 4 again. Just makes it an electric player to follow. He is by far the most reliable player to win out from a spot. Whenever I think about an alien invasion, to come and say you have to send your best player to win in a game of TFT, it's Setsuko. I think he has the best chance to defend the livelihood of it. If it's top 4, it might be a different person, right? It might be the person at number 1. But if it's like to win the game, to the person who can play for the 1st or 8th for humanity to survive, everything on the line, it is Setsuko. This guy is truly transcendent in TFT. We're talking about how people are like the best. They're like the blah, blah, blah. When I think about gods of TFT, I really think about Setsuko. Like what he does is incredibly at a high level of what I consider to be a deity in the game.
Yeah, so I could not agree more. Yeah. Like +1. And what's so insane about Setsuko is I feel like I have a handful of other like things that are so notable about him. He really is like an enigma in so many ways. He's just such a fascinating player of the game. He's the most deeply intuitive player we have, right? Like, it's just like we were talking about earlier, where it was like people were talking about, I can't remember if it was Robin or Milk made this point, like afraid of Setsuko because he just plays the game. He doesn't need the stats, right? He just evaluates it by his own, his own experiences. He also does his ballots that way, which is so fun. He just plays the game and watches them and decides how good people are based on the spots he sees them in.
Tell him about the Wage and Iverson moment.
Wait, which one?
Setsuko was the first person to ever rank Wage and Iverson.
Oh, yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah.
Sorry. He even had results. Months before he had results.
100%. Setsuko was like, this guy is good at TFT, and he was completely right, and he was way ahead of the curve. And as soon as he did, we all paid attention. And from that moment on, every time Setsuko ranked someone fresh, I was like, interested. I want to watch that person play TFT, right? He's probably the best econ. He's definitely the best econ trait player on the server, right? And that's huge advantage in a ton of sets. He like the reality is, every single TFT tournament, literally every single one, even regionals, even worlds, there's skill gaps. There's like the truly elite players and the players who are pretty damn good. But because of the variance in TFT and how much patches change and sets change and stuff, you're not always going to send like the stacked best of the best of the best of the best of the best. And Setsuko abuses that fact more than anybody. He constantly finds opportunities to like greed against the best players, and it's so fucking impressive. And at the end of the day, I do rate Jisop higher. I think that Setsuko is the highest skill ceiling because he's the master of the shit that is like the hardest to learn, where there's like most nuance, the most intuition is really required. Like his speed and transition, his ability to build a board quickly, some of the hubris this man has to like save 90 gold to level on, not waste. He's like, I don't need the fucking neutral round. You peons need the neutral round. It's like, I'll roll 100 gold and transition my whole board and get all my items in place and position. Watch me do it. Yes. And he can. It's fucking insane. And then his board strength evaluation is also fucking insane. There's so many times I look at Setsuko's spots, I'm like, you can't go 9 from here. And he can. He fucking can. Yeah. He always can. The correct thing to do is to look at it and say, why does he realize he can go 9 from here? What does he know that I don't know? Because it's fucking incredible. And he also can play best board in stage 2 and make streaks appear from thin air. I have no fucking idea how this guy streaks some of his stage 2. Sometimes it's obvious, but sometimes it's not at all. So yeah, I don't know. I think his ceiling is just fucking incredible. He's never won a world championship. Dish Soap's consistency put gaps, and we'll talk about Dish Soap, in a little bit. But I think Dish Soap's deserving the one, Setsuko's deserving of the two. But like Setsuko is just fucking TFT alien. He's so insane.
The TFT alien, Robin.
Yeah. So Setsuko, talking about transforming my game. One of my weaknesses was I wasn't able to win games a lot, or like not cap up my board. I watched a lot of Setsuko to learn how to do that. Because this guy, like, I feel like I'm too ungreedy. He's like, I mean, he's not even like greedy. He's just playing it like because he knows he can get there.
Yes.
So I watched a lot of Setsuko to get better at capping my boards and going 9 and getting a higher placement. What I should be getting, like my highest placement instead of just like a top 4. And then Setsuko being banned last set, I'm pretty sure everyone felt a void in every tournament. Essentially, we just all got a placement higher, I feel like. And I feel like, I don't know. I feel like if Setsuko played, he would have made final lobby like pretty easily. And
I think he would have too. This was a soft regionals field. He could.
Yeah, no, it was pretty soft. He could have went to Worlds. And yeah, like seeing this guy play in real life at EWC was also like crazy. Like I remember we were in the computer room, like anyone can play whatever. And I was just like, dude, play a game. Like I want to watch you play. And he just like, hey, whatever. And then like he just like sat down, like super leaned down like this, just like playing like super just like this, like nonchalant. And he just went like Giga first.
Do you know how he played? He also played another game. This is how he plays. He actually like stands up. I'm gonna like sit on my chair. Yes. Stand on my chair. He folds his legs and then he reaches through his leg to play TFT like this, and then he's like, that's how Setsuko
genius
plays
mode activated.
TFT.
And he's so fast. How is he so fast doing that?
He's not even leaning forward, you guys. He's not even leaning forward.
I actually want to build on a point. I want to build on a point Robin just made about him that I think is really interesting, kind of bigger picture for TFT, which is Robin talking about how he got better at capping his board and going 9 by watching Setsuko. And a lot of the people in this chat, and we'll talk about some of the bigger picture of DTIYDK later, but a lot of people in the chat are here because they really do want to get better at TFT, right? Like you're following the scene because you really believe in this. You're in love with the game TFT and you want to get to whatever your skill ceiling is, whether that's competing or not. And I will say that if you want to get better at TFT, it's actually not rocket science. If you just watch if you do it in this order, watch Setsuko when he streams and focus on his level 8s and level 9s and just focus, and stage 2s as well. You could skip the middle of the game and just watch that. If you want to figure out what line is correct to play, you should be watching Weijian Iverson and Dish Soap. They're going to have by far the best macro on average. They're going to teach you what to play around. You don't watch Replay's stream because it's a joke. He doesn't actually seriously stream. You're not watching the player.
Oh my god.
If Milk is streaming and he's one-tricking something, you should always watch that because he is the best line optimizer. And so if there's like a broken thing, watch Milk. If you want to understand fundamentals of TFT and make the game simpler and get good building blocks to then focus on all this other stuff, you watch Robin. That's it. You will become a challenger TFT player if you just look at those parts of those players' games. That's it. Understand why they're doing what they're doing.
You watch Frodan to watch them all do it anyway, so it's a one-stop shop. So yeah.
Yeah, true.
Why you don't have to watch go anywhere else?
True.
Yeah. I feel like we said a lot of what we wanted to say about Setsuko.
What about Soju, Bryce? What about Soju?
We go Soju to remember life is a lot better if you laugh along the way.
I mean, you watch Soju if you want to know what not to do, right? That's what you watch Soju for.
All right. It's time. Let's go ahead and reel number 1 and wrap up this segment. It is none other than Dish Soap, crossing the 300 games played mark, by the way.
That's crazy.
Who wants to go first? Who wants to go first? How about the man who gave him the biggest amount of troubles on the ladder competitions? Robinsongz, the duel with Robin versus Dish Soap in the Box Bootcamp. That was one of my favorite moments, actually, in competitive TFT.
Yeah, by the way, Robin, that's some David versus Goliath shit there, man. You competing with Dish Soap on ladder in that moment was pretty sick.
Yeah, I mean, Dish Soap, for those guys that don't know, it was the Box Bootcamp. I think it was the second one, and Dish Soap played a lot of TFT, and he was able to camp at like super high LP, and then he like ran out of gas, so he just like went to bed, and he had to pray that like no one passed him. And like realistically, like no one should be able to pass him, but I think I high rolled and I like locked in for like 10-12 games straight. I just like top 4 12 games in a row, and I patched Dish Soap on the last game, so I got very, very lucky. And then it took a lot out of me to just beat Dish Soap. And then after that, Dish Soap just cleared me. Like I wasn't even like a challenge after that. So that just showed, yeah, no, like, like I had to try my best to like inch out Dish Soap. And then like Box 3, Box 4, Box 5, he has like 1,000 LP over me. Every time at the start of the set, Dish Soap always has like 1,000 LP lead on everyone else for some reason.
Yep.
Like it's because every single game he like maximizes his placement every single game. Unlike me or like Soju, we go 8th one time and just lose all our progress. Like that rarely happens with Dish Soap. He actually is the PP, the perfect player. And
which was started by you, by the way, Robin. You started this
Robin,
PP meme.
Well, yeah, you took my shit out of context, by the way.
Yeah, Robin is the origin of PP. You guys didn't know that.
I literally didn't even say that, and you were like, Bryce is on stream calling him the perfect player. Do you know that? That's how it started.
No, it started because you tweeted something about you're like,
I said
I'm gonna...
I said it's as close to perfect TFT as you will see. Which
was yeah.
And then you read it on stream, and you just kept saying all night long about it, and then it became...
Yeah, I was like, that's a perfect player?
That's how it was.
Are you serious? And then the PP was formed. And I mean, he actually is the closest to perfect. He actually is the PP.
By the way, getting to do a victory lap on that is my like final player ranking thing on the show. Very good.
All right. W Glaze. Man, I can't say enough good things about this. Or do you guys want to go? Why don't you go?
No, please go for it.
Okay.
I'll eat.
I don't know exactly where to start. I started a business with this guy. I'm doing a website with Dish Soap, and I think my favorite thing about TFT Academy is that I feel like... So a lot of people know TFT Academy that I started with Dish Soap is help the players and to help educate. We started off when Dish Soap and I started the website with Kite. We thought about like we did it for like very very business and financial reasons. We're like, we think websites are a good thing to invest into. We think that this can be something that really takes off. We think that a lot of people aren't doing it well, and we want to do something that's like not just by people who are reliable, but also for the people. We want to be very people forward. And not just like, well, once we get the user base, we just, kind of we try to cash in, which a lot of TFT websites and a lot of guide websites do. But along the process of doing this, I actually feel like I've developed a pretty good relationship or friendship with Dish Soap. And that's something I didn't really expect along the way, because we've always been kind of more cordial. And I've grown to, I think that's been my favorite thing about watching it, is that I kind of have a front row of witnessing his hard work, to witness his dedication, to witness kind of like sort of the genius kind of forging at the blacksmith, right? So I get to watch him like swing down the hammer and forge his weapons, and I get to also see how he's throughout the entire process. He's actually a really good person and does it all throughout the way. And so it's been a really fun journey for me personally to get a perspective that I don't usually get. And that's probably something that doesn't really mean much to you guys. We're talking about a ranking. We're talking about his like average placements, his results. But I could just spend here talking about like all the reasons why I think he's good. But I just want to share like a little bit of behind the scenes. They're just like, he's really good to our employees. He's really good to the people that he works with. And I love that about him, probably more than the fact that he's good at TFT, is that he's not stepping on anyone to get there. And that he's not trying to like trash talk and be disrespectful and rude. And this is not a slight to anybody else, right? People may think I'm talking about like Setsuko or somebody else, but he tries to like do it the right way, all the way to the top, from start to finish. He's very thorough and diligent, and I think that's my favorite thing about Dish Soap, being number one. He's the GOAT for that reason to me, because he just does it right.
Man, I love that. I love like building on that note, because I made a comment earlier about Phoenix being a nice guy too, and people like chat was like, why are we talking about this? It's TFT ranking. Look, who you are matters. I'm sorry, but like who you are as a human being, how you treat other people, the way you approach this challenge, right? And having the spotlight on you, all that does reflect on you. And it's significant that Dish Soap is like a really good human being and like genuinely goes out of his way to help people in the scene and like wants to do all of this as part of like a positive member of the community.
The
So I agree
perfect
with everything Dan
person.
said.
Yeah, he's evolved. He found a way to go up.
Perfect player into perfect person.
And I would build on that and say he's also really, 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 really fucking good at TFT. And you know, it's funny because I get linked to it because of the PP meme, but Dan is the one who first put Dishsoap really on my radar, who was like, trust me. Dan was like, trust me, watch him play. Because at the time, I used to really be able to watch a bunch of TFT, and Dan knew I loved like watching someone who I hadn't watched before that was really good. And so it was really fun to watch this. So I'm like, wow, Dan is right. This guy is really good. And just to watch him evolve, I mean, he gets so much better every set. He's the most methodical player we have. He methodically improves all the different areas of his game. He self-identifies weaknesses better than anyone. He works on them on his own and he improves them. He methodically learns every set. He like creates building blocks. He learns lines. He builds on his knowledge of lines. He retains that for the entire set. He gets better and better as the set goes on. It's part of the reason why he was able to catch up quite a bit and be good this set, right? And he's one of the only people who could even do that because of the way he approaches learning the game, by the way. But he is nerfed by the fact that he didn't play the set for 2.5 months. That's a lot of knowledge he would have gained to be able to use on his opponents. He's the most well-rounded player in the game, right? Like there are things that Setsuko does better than him for sure. But if you were to like come up with the 15 attributes of what makes a great TFT player, Dishsoap is elite in all of them, which is insane. And I'm not making that up, by the way. We literally did that exercise on.
Yes, we did actually.
And Dan was like, "Wow, you're gonna read them all." I was like, "I'm gonna read them fucking all because he is actually elite in all of them, and that's incredible that he is that well-rounded." He's the only player to make final lobby at multiple regionals this year, and he made all of them, right? Is that right? I think that's right. Didn't he make all 3 final lobbies at regionals this year?
That is correct. Crazy. Wow, I didn't actually think about that, but that is correct. He won set 10, set 11 final regionals, and then he had the spot at Worlds, right? Like we saw what happened when someone took it easy. Like Bobster took it very easily, went dead last.
Yep.
Dishsoap didn't even need it. He earned his spot back to. So I actually don't even count that as like. So some people are like, well, of course he made 3 worlds. He got invited back. He earned it back. That's a real 3 worlds appearance.
And he earned it while they played the whole set, and he didn't. He earned it just playing the very end of the fucking set. Do you know how much better you have to be at TFT to just play the end of the set and still earn it? And yeah, it was like a weaker regionals field, but that just shows how great he is.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, when you put all this together, if this list is about GOAT status right now, he's the most likely player on NA right now to retire as the GOAT. He is both insanely gifted and he works the hardest and most intentionally. And that is a potent combination. So as good as he is right now, it's going to be even harder to keep up with him, especially if the game moves back in a direction that I would describe as more skill expressive, because I think there's more room for this man to get skill edge in the game than he is given on the last several sets in general.
Also, he's hella young still.
Yeah, he's like, that's something that also is a really fun thing, is that he's not like he's actually in his early 20s. I don't really expect that out of somebody who composed himself in that way. So he can be as dominant as he wants to be for a long time. I don't know, and he is working on his weaknesses, right? I think Dishsoap tends to get a little bit like, oh my god, you guys are glazing too hard sometimes. Like I'm not infallible, and that's entirely true. He has weaknesses, but I think
what are his weaknesses?
What are his weaknesses? I mean, anything from like sometimes he misevaluates things to, I think for a while he actually had some weaknesses to his positioning game. And
I agree with that. Yep. Really fascinating. I don't think he has. Well, I'm curious. Do you think he has a current weakness? Because you just described mistakes that he makes, which he definitely makes, and past weakness, which I agree
I'm
with.
describing past weaknesses.
Yeah, I think he has past weaknesses. I don't think he has any current weaknesses to his play personally. Like, I don't think there's an area of the game that he is weak at. There are areas of the game where he can improve. He can make better decisions, but I don't think that there is an area, like any fundamental that we would describe that we would say is weak.
I would say that it depends on how you're defining weak. I would say that he has things that he could cause him to be susceptible to taking lower placements. But to say if it's like a weak area, it's like it's not one of his strengths. I guess that's kind of the contrast we're talking about, right? How are we defining weakness in this? But overall, yes, he's elite in pretty much every major category, and those subcategories. I mean, the weakest thing about him is that he gets one guy in chat and he randomly bans them in Twitch chat.
He just gave his weaknesses, by the way. So he
Dude, I
said
think he
gets
got better at that.
He says gets outpositioned. To,
Yes.
I'm going to copy this because I want to respond to this because I don't think this is true. As much as it's like his own thing. He says he gets outpositioned.
Okay, I will say one thing. I think he over pivots too much. That's for sure. He actually self-identified that. Milk talks about it all the time to me.
He's not degen enough. He's not degen as Milk.
You guys, if you talk to him about what we've talked about in our regionals prep sessions, is a huge part of what I harped on with him is that he does this shit. And yeah, it's for sure true. But you know what? It's coming from a place of variance reduction. It's at the end of the day, it's core to his identity as a player, right? He just tries to keep the game as much in his control as he possibly can for as long as he possibly can. So he has a natural aversion to these spots. And I guess you can call it a weakness, but I think it's more of a trade-off than a weakness. I think he's specifically opting into this stylistically. And like, yeah, he gets out positioned sometimes, but so does everyone. And I think the point is that he shored up his positioning at this point to be elite. I think his positioning is very, very good. I think he outpositions his opponents way higher percentage when he's locked in than they outposition him. And like the tilt, yeah, that's fair.
The tilt.
That's just true. Yep.
I think he's got a lot better from with tilting.
He
I
has
don't know
five-
what he did, but he does not. He's not the old Bishop anymore, where he would get he's giga tilted.
Yep. All right. And this is the end of our top 15, but it transitions to like a halfway segment that I love that Robin brought up because you asked a question. What was the question you asked, Robin?
I said it'd be cool, like if there were, or like it's cool how there's like versions of people at like secret Super Smash Brother characters.
Their
like a
peak.
stronger version of their of themselves.
We thought the exact same thing independently of Robin. We didn't actually prompt him to bring it up. Mm-hmm. And so we decided that we want to do a transition thing before we go to our last major thing for the show. Promise you, there is an end to the show, which was what would be the ultimate TFT team based off everyone's peak form, but you are limited to $15. So we're going to go ahead and show you the graphic. We're going to start things off here. So we're going to issue a challenge to people here on stream. Build your fantasy TFT team with $15 with everyone who is in peak form. So at the $5 tier, we have Dish Soap, Milk, Replay, Setsuko, and Wajan Iverson. I think this is where we kind of batch Wajan with like the tier 1 players, and I think that's perfectly fair. At $4, we have Birdosaurus from, or actually, we should probably clarify, right? I think Dish Soap would actually say his peak was set 10, but we can just say set 11 Dish Soap.
Yeah.
For Milk, I think we can say set 5 or set 9. Replay would be set 8. Setsuko would be set 9, and Wajan would be set 9 as well.
I think it's fine to let the person interpret it how they want, because it's gonna be harder and harder to like pick the best.
Okay.
Go down.
We have Birdosaurus, Greya, Malala. Nubao makes an appearance for the first time on the podcast. And
at the $4 tier.
At the $4. So if you truly believe in the mythos of Nubao, you can put your money where your mouth is. Because there's so many people who love to hype him up. But if indeed his peak is as insane as everyone talks about from who remember back in the day, we'll see. At $3, we have Goobums, Hockey Gum, Ripple Overdrive, Ramblin', and Spencer. This one's actually a little bit interesting, especially because there's a couple names. Like people, I think, may not even really know how good Ramblin' was at set 6 when he was actually ranked 1 at one point overall, and it was by consensus. And then at number 2, we got DQA, K3 Soju, Kiyun, Kuramex, and Robin. Robin, we got your peak here at $2. But we believe that's largely because you haven't hit your true peak yet.
Yeah.
What would be your peak, Robin? Would be set 5?
Oh, that's what you asked me, huh? I don't know. I mean, I feel like I did the best in set 5, but I feel like
it was not
there weren't that many good players. Yeah, there weren't that many good players, and like I'm pretty sure if I VOD reviewed my set 5 regional games, I'm pretty sure I made infinite stupid mistakes. I feel like Malala should be like $6. I don't know.
Fair enough. I mean, like we only have so many. We only had 5 players. So who'd you bump? Actually, specifically, who'd you bump for $5, Robin?
I would bump. Oh, this is hard. What the? I would bump Wajan probably.
Woo.
Or yeah,
Wajan was super good at set 9, but I mean,
okay, Milk. Wait, Milk was good too. Oh man, this is hard. But Malala set 10 though. Set 10 Malala.
Yep.
Okay, well, you know what, Robin? You just identified that Malala is a steal at $4, so I'm curious to see who your roster is. Finally, at $1, We have Asa, Goose by the four artists formerly known as GV8, Prestivant, Rainplosion, and yes, it is a fantasy draft on Don't Talk If You Don't Know. We have Soulless at peak form.
Wait. Peak Solus
$1.
is more than $1. I feel like Peak Solus is a beast.
All right. So we go ahead and pull it up. Robinsongz, build your team, $15. Who you got?
Oh, is there like there's no like first pick or anything? Oh,
No, we're not. Build it individually. You get to build your own team. You get to pick whoever you want.
So that's one.
Oh,
so
$15.
You can do 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or you can like spend extra and then go cheaper on the other.
Wait, how many players?
5 players.
5 players.
So
Actually, sorry.
So you can
build
theoretically
we
afford
should
one
roll this
each
up.
tier.
5 players for $15.
Okay, I'm taking Malala at $4 for sure. I'm pretty sure that's a steal. I'm taking me at $2. I'm pretty sure that's also a steal. Wait, how much is that? Is it $7 now?
That is
and then
$7.
I have $8 left.
Yes.
Wait, no, you've only spent $6.
You spent
right?
$6.
You spent $6.
Oh, I spent $6. So I have $9 left
math.
for 3 players.
Correct.
Let's see here. I'm taking K3 Soju at $2 is a steal, dude.
K3
I feel like
Soju.
EWC K3 Soju is a beast.
Is that 7 Soju speak for him?
I think EWC Soju.
EWC Soju?
Yeah, EWC Soju was a different person. And what is this? $8. And so I have 7. Okay, I mean, dish soap. Let's take dish soap for $5.
All right, dish soap for $5, and I mean it could just be generally world championship status.
This is 9, 11, 30. I have $2 left.
You have $2 left.
Okay, I'm picking.
You can spend on a $1 player too if you really want to take a $1 player.
You could save budget. That'd be hardcore.
I'm saving budget. I'm taking Peak Solus. Peak
I
Solus
love
is a
it.
beast.
Oh.
Dude,
Hey, what is Peak Solus to you? What
I don't
is
know.
it?
Like it's set 1, I think. I don't know.
I actually think I know what it
Solus?
is. I think
It's
Peak Solus is the Summit Solus. I think that
I
he
think
was
it's-
legitimately good at the Summit patch. If you remember, he carried Kurum. Kurum played solid that weekend, but Solus was the hard carry. He gapped the field that weekend, and he was just it was total savant status. It was just like he knew the game so much better than us already, but then he didn't improve his knowledge of the game at all over the course of the rest of the set.
Okay.
Okay,
Bryce,
looking
you're
at
up
this,
next.
my team, I drafted the worst team.
Yeah, your team sucks.
You can,
Okay,
if you want to make a change, there's no off limits. Like Bryce can also draft dish soap and
yeah.
No,
So
I'm down for this.
I'm taking dish soap at 5.
Okay.
I just can't not take the GOAT. I'm taking Malol at 4. I agree he's undercosted at 4. Just his peak set was so insane. And then I'm going to go Goobums and DQA back to back here. I think if we're really going off of peak performance to date, I think Goobum set 6 was fucking incredible. The other player I actually seriously consider in this tier is Ramblin', which I think would surprise people. But I think that Ramblin' hasn't had a set that got him interested in playing in TFT literally since set 6 for real, and people don't realize just how good he was. But I couldn't pick him over Goobums because they were, at the end of the day, their peaks were head to head in set 6, and I think Goobums was the slightly better player. I just think Ramblin' was also incredible.
Wait,
and
this is, oh no, DQ is $2.
I think
DQ is $2.
I think DQA is set for.
Wait, Bryce, that's you. Oh, you have to pick
No,
$1.
no,
player,
DQ,
sorry.
DQ is $2.
Oh, sorry. DQ
And
is
then
$2.
DQA, I think his set 4. I think people don't realize just how good he was. I remember watching his performance watching his improvement process heading into Worlds. He basically he was a beast at one line, Kale, and there were 2 other lines basically that you really, really needed to know. And he just went to the best one tricks of them on the server and just got them to teach him. So just like Goobums taught him keepers, which he didn't know how to play, but Goobums was insane at keepers that set. And then I can't remember who taught him Slayers, but he just learned how to play the entire patch so well, and it was the only time he's ever been 100% invested in TFT. Even the other time he made Worlds, he wasn't. Like, he kind of got into that Worlds pretty fake off of Warwick meta read and shit. But set 4, he was like a KO one trick that became a fucking beast. And then at $1, I thought about this one for a while. I actually unironically think that Solus at the Summit was the best peak.
Oh my god.
I'm sad that Robin stole my thunder on that because I really believe
We have different
this.
people. I've set 1 Solus. You have set 1 Solus.
Oh, that's true.
They're 2 different characters.
You're right.
He has base Solus. You have Super Saiyan Solus, but he has base Solus.
Yes.
Oh man. I actually, believe it or not, had a placeholder for Milk because I thought Milk would do this, but alas, the show built differently. I will go myself. I'm gonna go with dish soap. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. I think you can't not take.
Wait, I have a question. Why did I even get kicked from the thing? You got a thing built for me.
Oh.
Because we
wait, well,
moved
Milk,
the
if you're
show
here-
around.
Wait, actually, if you're here, do you want to build your roster?
Yeah, Milk.
you know
Good
it?
roster.
Wait. Why did I get kicked to begin with? I don't understand.
Oh, I mean that was
It's
an
'cause-
executive call.
It was, you know why? It's because we can't have you overlap with Mort for the reasons you proved earlier, and partially it's because
He
I
didn't
already,
come.
He's coming. He's literally
coming,
next.
he's coming
With
now,
his
yeah, he's coming
milk, we're literally over an hour behind because you yapped so much in the beginning.
That's why.
Yes, because everything you said was like off topic, and then we had to fight you back on topic, like tooth and nail, bro. So I mean, we're also talking a lot, which is great.
Wait, I want to hear Milk's.
Yeah, Milk. If you got a list, rip it
You
right
can build
now.
the roster.
You got
I mean,
this.
Milk might steal my thunder because I like my roster a lot. But go ahead.
Okay. I'm taking myself.
Oh, okay.
Set one.
Set one. Really?
I like it.
Set one Milk.
Holy. Okay.
Can I take myself again?
No, you can't do
Yeah,
that.
set,
What
set
different set?
one
Different
Milk.
set. Different set.
No. Only one set. One version.
Okay, I'll take P-God this set.
Oh,
Okay.
I like that. That's a good pick.
That's a good
That
pick.
is actually my thunder. I wanted to pick Precedent here.
I like
Oh.
that.
That's okay.
I'll take.
Cute.
Why is Nubel so expensive, man?
It's a meme, man.
Why is this
There
free?
you go, and there you
It's
understand
literally-
the problem.
Man, I'm trying
Do you know
to pick
why,
him.
Milk?
Yeah.
Because when we
Why?
priced him, we said to ourselves, what did we get told the entire time Nubal was playing TFT? All of you guys rated him 1 overall every single time. There was a set where Nubal was the most expensive fantasy player in the history of drafts heading into regionals, and he went dead last at regionals. Everyone said he was the best player at regionals, and he had no fucking idea what he was doing on the patch. The mythology of Nubal was wild. He definitely had high potential, but
he's I think he's overpriced. But that's only because I
purpose.
want people who truly believe in him to double down.
Yes.
I'm probably gonna pick him, but give me a second.
Really? You're gonna pick Nubal? I
No,
didn't
I'm
expect
just
anyone to pick
thinking.
Nubal actually.
Wait, what was that? $6? 6? No, I just gotta think. 6.
I mean, you
Okay,
can
you gotta
undo.
pick.
You can undo if you want.
Hey, Milk. We're literally. I told Mort he was gonna start at 5 at 6:30, so I really need you to pick. Actually, like as much.
Okay,
as
sorry. Okay. You know, I'll take Nubel. I'll do it fast.
Okay, I like it.
Okay.
Set. Wait. Was that 6 or set 5? It was set 6, right?
It was set 6. Set 6.
I'll take Nubel set 6.
You have $5
what?
left.
Oh. You know what? I'll take Soju set 1.
I like
Okay,
it. Two
K3
set one
Soju.
picks.
He's
When
just
we were
doing. He's
all-
just doing the OGs.
We were all so bad at TFT in set 1, and he has 2.
Wait,
of
I
them
thought
on
it
his
is
team.
it like compared to like other people like at the time or what? I don't understand.
I think it's like their.
It's all how you
relatives.
evaluate it.
Like, are you like putting them like you
Yes, you
skip
have to
all
put-
those sets?
Yeah, you have to put them.
Oh, then
against
isn't it
different-
gonna be everyone that's like now? Like why would you
No.
put someone soulless? Like who? Like that's fucking awful.
Yeah,
no,
that's kind of the point.
it's okay. Don't. It is. You're on the right track. Don't just don't.
You got
surprise.
this.
What's the
Yeah,
last one?
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, but then whatever, remove everything then. I'm
No,
not
no,
taking
just
myself
rip
from
it.
set 1.
Just rip it. Just rip it. It's fine.
Okay, what is that? 6, 10, 12. I have $3.
$3.
I'll,
You don't have to spend it.
I'll take. Yeah, I'll take Spencer, man.
Yeah. Which set?
Give me set 5.
Set 5, Spencer.
I like it.
Wow. Okay. All right. Thanks, Milk, for stopping by. we got it.
Bye,
We got to
Milk.
push the fort.
Oh,
But
okay,
appreciate
sorry.
you having me on the show. No, it's all good. It's all good. How do I fit in here? Okay, I'm like all the way in the back here. I gotta go quick. I wanted to go dish soap number 1. I think that when it's all said and done, I think the GOAT discussion is not going to be close in TFT. I think it's not going to be like we have multiple people at that. I think he's going for unanimous. I'm also going to go with Milk. With Milk, because I just really believe that when it comes down to it, if Milk truly is in peak form, I think his highs are higher than everybody. I am actually kind of
What
in
set?
the cut of Soju. The thing is, I don't know which set it would be. I was gonna go with set 9 Milk or set 5 Milk, but I think set 9 Milk is really underrated, so I'm just gonna go with that.
I like
Is that
that.
the
I
cloud
think it's
one?
set 5, but I think set 9 Milk was really good too. I agree.
That was at 5.
Yes, yes. I'm gonna go. Let's see. I want to go with Precedent, but that's because Milk stole my thunder, so I think Precedent was extremely good in set 12. That leaves me with what, $2 or sorry, $2 each for these last two if I want, or a 3-1.
Yep, exactly.
I want to go with. I'll go with double 2 here. I'm gonna go with Kiyun.
Ooh,
What's that?
Set 3. Set
Yeah.
3. I think Kiyun is
mech one
actually-
trick.
I think I learned a lot about Kiyun as a player in EWC. I think that if there's one thing that I misunderstand is that when this guy is locked in, he is such a danger in tournaments. I actually think that a lot of people they're saying like how Toronto, Tokyo, or whatever, like Soju was like some of the best players at EWC. I actually think Kiyun was incredibly good at EWC.
Wait, EWC Kiyun might be his peak. EWC Kiyun.
Okay,
It might be the strongest.
I mean, probably because like, the reason why set 3 is because he was actually winning tournaments in set 3.
Yeah.
Straight up, which is why I was doing it. But I actually think Kiyun is very, very underrated when he's at his peak. Is that he's never anywhere close to it. Okay, I guess I have like $2 left. I'm gonna go with Robin because Robin's my rock. And what set are you saying? You said you bet at set 5?
Set. Let's go. You should pick up set 12, Robin.
I'm going with set 13, Robin. Peak form.
Ooh, I like it.
Nice.
I like it.
That was fun, and it gave us a chance to talk about a lot of some of the random ones. We didn't really get a chance to talk about Goose. He was pretty special for a while.
He was. We're kind of sort of like going through the segment a little bit quicker than we wanted
No, it's
to.
great.
But
It's great. No, that's actually fine. I think we got good coverage. Asa also deserves a moment in the sun. Asa is a very good player. He would have been like next out in our snub list, so we can get a chance to talk about him. But Asa is very good at TFT. Just never really quite achieved.
Set 7 Rainplosion for $1 is
Yeah.
also a steal. I might replace Solus. I don't even know if Solus is good in set 1 actually.
I mean, the thing about that one. The thing about some of these players is like we never talk about Gray either, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of this is like somewhat mix of hype as well as actual results, which makes it fun.
Totally.
I think we're gonna post this on social media so you guys can build your own fantasy team. And I think this is something that maybe if we ever come back, we might do something like this again. All right.
Oh, Mortok picked his. Mortok picked set 12 Dish, set 10 Malala,
set 6
6
Boobum, set 5
Robin,
Robin,
set
set
7
7 Rain.
So it's actually So okay, cool.
Oh, that's a good roster.
That is a good roster.
And more, you can join now. It's time.
Yeah, it's finally time.
So this is an interesting one because we've talked about this before, and generally we agree, right? Like the perception, especially from some of our more skilled players.